Welcome, everyone. It's Cannabis News. I'm your host, Joe Klare. It's December 10th, 2019. The show, as always, is presented by the Marijuana Times. Find us at marijuanatimes.org. Click the video tab there. To find the show, a lot of great social media links, articles, all kinds of stuff at marijuanatimes.org. Go check it out. Of course, you want to email me directly, stonerjesus420@gmail.com. Today, we're talking about activists in Michigan and how they feel about the recreational sales rollout over the last week and a half or so. Also, we'll talk about Minnesota legalization and some big news in the financial world when it comes to legal cannabis. All that's coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by NatureSide, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides grow safe and poison-free with NatureSide. Don't use harmful chemicals or banned pesticides. Be regulatory compliant in the state that you are growing in. All of these things can be done with NatureSide, nature-side.com. Proud sponsor of Cannabis News. Thank you, NatureSide. This first story is by yours truly at marijuanatimes.org. How do activists in Michigan feel about the rollout of adult use marijuana sales? Talked with Josh Hovey, who was the spokesperson for the 2018 campaign to legalize marijuana for recreational purposes in Michigan. He said, from my view, the rollout of the recreational market has been a roller coaster ride. On the upside, the state worked pretty quickly to develop the rules and regulations for the adult use market and began accepting applications a month earlier than required by the passage of Proposal 1 in 2018. Went on to say, on the downside, there are a lot of issues that are preventing the licensed market from taking shape. Too many municipalities have been slow to adopt their own zoning and local licensing laws. Every community that opts to ban adult use marijuana businesses is essentially encouraging the proliferation of the black market. Also talked to Robin Schneider, who's the executive director of the Michigan Cannabis Industry Association. Quote, our members were very disappointed with the rollout of Michigan's adult use sales, Robin told us. The Marijuana Regulatory Agency repeatedly publicly stated that due to the product shortage in our medical program, they would not allow for the transfer of medical marijuana to be used for recreational sales. In their sudden announcement, the recreational facilities could transfer up to 50% of their medical inventory beginning on December 1st, created a statewide inventory crisis for provisioning centers and medical-only cities. So basically, they switched some of the recreational inventory to the medical inventory to the recreational side, creating a shortage on the medical side, and leaving a shortage on the recreational side, which has been reflected in the high prices. The increased demand for product in Ann Arbor, Robin told us, has caused the wholesale price on cannabis to increase by over $5,000 per pound and further depleted our scarce medical supply. So Robin thinks that they should have waited a little bit and waited until more businesses were open. Josh said the same thing. Said I would prefer that the state waited until there were 20 to 30 businesses ready and then allow them all to open at the same time. With only the 3 stores opening on December 1st in Ann Arbor, and now only about 10 stores open, or 10 or 12, there's high prices, not a lot of supply, and what supply there is being taken from the medical side, which is hurting the medical side. So they are not happy with the way things are going, and activists, at least those activists, feel that things could have gone better, smoother, better decisions could have been made, let's say. This next story is from CBS Local in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Talking Points, Representative Ryan Winkler discusses the push to legalize recreational marijuana in Minnesota. The coming weeks and months, expect to hear a lot about the possibility of legalizing recreational marijuana in Minnesota. Legalization push is a powerful new advocate who will be introducing the bill when the next legislative session gets underway in February. Behind-the-scenes supporters of legalizing recreational marijuana have been working hard, holding listening sessions around the state, and meeting with officials from Colorado, which legalized cannabis, of course, in 2014. House Majority Ryan Winkler is throwing in some support, or his support. He cites polls saying more than 60% of Minnesotans support legalization. She's going to be leading the push in the legislature this year to get it passed. So we're going to pass it at some point in time. This is a change that is coming whether Minnesota is ready for it or not. What we're trying to do is create a bill based on a set of public policy principles that will be ready for passage in this legislative session, meaning the one that is coming up. Tim Walz, whose governor has shown support and expressed support, but the Senate in Minnesota is controlled by Republicans. All 201 members of the House and Senate in Minnesota are up for re-election in November, be the state house elections in Minnesota. But Minnesota is another state we're going to be looking at and keeping an eye on over the next year when it comes to their push for legalization, in their case, via the legislature. This last story is from MarketWatch.com. Cannabis market leader Canopy Growth names Constellation Brands CFO as its new CEO. Canopy Growth said Monday it has named David Klein, currently chief financial officer, as its biggest shareholder, Constellation Brands, as its new chief executive, taking over from Mark Zilkelin on January 14th. This sent the stock for Canopy rising. Zilkelin became the sole CEO of the largest cannabis company by market capitalization after the Constellation Brands dominated board of directors fired former co-CEO Bruce Linton in July. Prior to Linton's dismissal, Zilkelin, a one-time political operative, held the title of co-CEO and was largely responsible for the company's day-to-day operations, while Linton operated as a public-facing spokesman and liaison to the capital markets. When the board ousted Linton, Zilkelin agreed to remain as the sole CEO until a replacement was found, presiding over 2+ quarters of lackluster earnings amid broad problems for Canadian weed companies. So, new shakeup over at Canopy. Things have been rough for cannabis stocks over the last several months. The industry has been hammered from all sides. There's been the vaping issues. There's supply issues. There's the black market issues, which the legal market is finding hard to compete with the black market because of prices and taxes and regulations. All things we talked about many times here on the show and at marijuanatimes.org. Canopy's answer for moving forward, obviously, is a new CEO. So good luck to them. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Hopefully things turn around for the legal industry, especially these big legal businesses, which are being hammered. I mean, they're dumping money into something and losing a ton of money on something that they're not getting much help with when it comes to local and state, and in the case of Canada, federal and provincial governments. And it's a long, hard fight. I mean, there's not changing the CEO is one thing, or bringing in a new CEO is one thing, but you still have the problems you got to overcome, and maybe this person's better at overcoming those problems than previous CEOs, at least the board at Canopy seems to think so. We'll continue to update you on that story, all the other stories, all the stories we can. We try to fit as much as we can in here 5 days a week at Cannabis News. Search us on YouTube and Vimeo for the podcast videos, for the podcast audio, Apple Podcasts, where you can find us. Thank you to NatureSide, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Thanks to all of you for liking, sharing, commenting, watching, and listening today. And we'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.